Right. So welcome all once again. And as we said, we will start with the next three forms of Navavidha Bhakti, which are Pada Sevanam, Archanam, and Vandanam. I have tried to put some pictures that associate with the three forms of bhakti, but of course we will go through this in a bit more detail. So Pada Sevanam is serving the Lord's feet. Thinking of oneself as a servant of Lord, the first picture that comes to our mind is Goddess Lakshmi at the feet of Sri Vishnu. The goddess of wealth and fortune, although by nature is very restless and constantly moving, cannot quit Lord's feet. Padasevanam encourages humility and ensures our ego doesn't come in our rendering of service to Lord. The other example of Padasevanam is Bharata, the younger brother of Sri Rama. Lord Bharata, the younger brother of Sri Ram, carried Sri Rama's padukas with great worship by placing them on his head as a mark of respect to his elder brother, who was like his father, his guru, and God. Bharata ruled Ayodhya for 14 years when Ram was in Vanvas by considering padukas as Sri Ram himself, displaying another example of Padasevanam. The next one is Archanam, or offering the worship. Archanam of or deity worship combines an external ritual with internal meditation. Generally, a personal attribute is associated in Archanam. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 26, Sri Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyuparyuttam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers to me with devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even water, I delightfully accept that article offered with love by my devotee in pure consciousness. Generally, you can do Shodashopachara Puja, Sahasranama Puja, Ashtottara Puja, different forms of puja, but keep in mind that the bhava or your belief is the most important thing here. Now, there are five forms of bhava or five kinds of bhava in bhakti. They are Shanta bhava as displayed by Prahlad. There is Dasya bhava as displayed by Hanuman. Sakhya bhav as displayed by Arjun. Vatsalya bhav as displayed by Yashoda, and Madhurya bhav as displayed by Radha. Bhave vina bhakti, bhakti vina mukti, bade vina shakti bolu naye is what Santa Jnaneshwar says in Haripat. Shabri, the photo that you see here, offered the berries which she had meticulously collected and also tasted them to ensure they were sweet before offering to Sri Ram. Seeing her bhakti bhav, Sri Rama did eat those half-eaten berries. So this is how you can actually do Archanam. Moving on to the next one, which is Vandanam or offering prayers. Developing a personal connection with the Lord, but not begging in front of him like a Artha Bhakta or a Jidnyasu Bhakta or Artharthi Bhakta. Vandanam offers prayers to the Lord. Prayer is a communication way with the Lord, and prayer requires immense faith in him as he is not visible to the naked eye. As one develops the faith in Lord, the prayer becomes an indispensable part of one's spiritual journey. The depth of the prayer is proportional to one's spiritual progress made, not only in this life, but through the several previous births. It is through constant prayer the bhakta develops a relationship with the Lord. The Lord thus becomes his father, mother, friend, and Lord who can be talked to. As Adi Shankaracharya said, Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhu cha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravidam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. So this is the next three forms of Navavidha Bhakti. Moving on.
So this is the 7th shloka. Arjuna uvacha evam etadyatha tattvam atmanam parameshvara drashtumichhami te rupam aishwaram purushottama.
O Supreme Lord, you are precisely what you declare yourself to be. Now I desire to see your divine cosmic form, O greatest of persons. This is the literal meaning of the shloka. Now Arjuna for the first time has acknowledged Bhagwan Shri Krishna as Parameshwara. Up until this point, Shri Krishna was his respected friend. He has a realization that Sri Krishna is Sarvavyapi, that means all encompassing, Sarva Sakshi, nothing gets unnoticed, and Sarvajna, omniscient. This is not a sudden realization for Arjuna, as leading up to this shlok, which is chapter 11, Bhagwan Sri Krishna has defined Parameshwar and his qualities in chapter 7th, 8th, and 9th. In the 10th chapter, and what we have also discussed last time, he has shown all of his manifestations or vibhuti. So at the end of the 10th chapter, Sri Krishna says that I have accommodated the world in me and it does not even fill a fraction of my expansion. Motivated by this curiosity, Arjuna asks Sri Krishna to show him the Vishwaroop, in which the world has taken a small fraction. Now, this is a skill of a orator, and the skill is considered to be short if the listener does not ask for more knowledge from the speaker. Sri Krishna, through his Gita discourse to Arjun and through Arjun to us, gives a splendid example of how a discourse should be. A discourse is such that it not only touches the intellect, which is the Tarka Shastra, but also invokes the mind, which is Bhakti Bhava. And this compels Arjuna to request for more knowledge till his heart's satisfaction. Now, the interesting part of this verse is what he says, now I desire to see your divine cosmic form. Now, the interesting part comes in 11.4, the next shloka, where Arjuna realizes that his desire to see the Lord in his Vishwaroop has to be absolutely vetted as a disciple, and it is only up to Sri Krishna to show him his Vishwaroop darshan. Hence, in the next slok, he actually pleads to Sri Krishna and says, Iti yadi manyase maya tat drashtum shakyam, which means if according to you, I am eligible to see your Vishwarupa darshan. Now, this is exactly the difference between us and Arjuna. We go to Lord, we pray to Lord, but there is constant demand about a materialistic thing we crave for. Give me car, give me good job, give me this, give me that. But what do saints do? They plead for his roop darshan with a humble request. And if God decides not to give them the darshan, they accept that decision with utmost modesty. So this is the difference between us and Arjuna or us and saints. And in Bhakti Bhav, we want to ensure that we basically have the acceptance of whatever happens with us as a gift from God. So that's the whole idea of Shlok 7. So moving on to the next Shlok.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Natu Mam Shakyase Drashtum Anenaiva Swachakshusha Divyam Dadami Te Chakshuhu Pashyame Yogamaishwaram.
But you cannot see my cosmic form with these physical eyes of yours. Therefore, I grant you the divine vision. Behold my majestic opulence. This is the literary meaning. So physical eyes are only capable of seeing what is seen. Our normal eyes can see what is reflected from the object. However, they cannot comprehend or see the energy behind the existence of the object. Now, Divya Chakshu means divine eyes, which means the eyes are capable of appreciating the divine glory in all manifestations of Sri Krishna. What is Divya Drushti? Divya Drushti is, in spite of seeing the duality, which is Saguna Sakara Roop, when the intellect and the wisdom accepts non-duality, means you have acquired Divya Drushti. Now, you know what? We have got Divya Drushti, if you believe it or not, but it is just that we are ignorant. I'll give you an example. In our day-to-day life, we experience Divya Drushti. When we stand in front of the mirror, we can see our reflection. So there is a duality, me as a person and my reflection. However, we have absolute knowledge that even though there is a reflection, that reflection is mine, self, and hence there is non-duality established. So this is a small example of Divya Drushti which we have used in practical life. The profound meaning of this Divya Drushti is when Sant Jnaneshwar says, Hey Vishwachi Maze Ghar, the whole world is my home. Now, can we attain Divya Drushti? Of course we can. And what we have to do? Karma Yoga to cleanse your Antakaran, Upasana to make the Antakaran Ekagra or steadfast, Yama Niyam Asan, control over Antakaran Chatushtaya, which is Chitta, Ahankar, Mana, Buddhi. Then do Pranayam to gain control over the uncontrolled thoughts in mind. Do Pratyahar, gain control over desires. Dharana, to control the mind from wandering off in space. Dhyana, to control mind from wandering off in time. And Samadhi, to control the mind from wandering off individual and concentrate on his feet. Now, this is not impossible, but it is extremely difficult, and you all will agree, and mostly not achievable in a single birth. I'm not saying that it is not achievable. It is achievable, but extremely difficult. So what is the alternative? The alternative lies in the Bhakti Marga. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. This is what Lord Sri Krishna says in the 18th chapter. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. Complete surrender to Hari Ichha is what Sri Krishna says here. But friends, even that is very difficult. We will easily and happily accept Hari Ichha when things are happening good in our lives. So when we get a good job, a good house, our bank balances increase, then we say, oh yes, it is all Hari Ichha. This surrender, but will we happily accept what is unfortunate in our event as Hari Ichha? And the word I'm using is happily accept the Hari Ichha when things are not going well. This surrender, this complete surrender is called as Panchama Purushartha, or Samarpan Purushartha, which is bigger than the other four, which is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Now, why this is the Pancham Purushartha worthy? Because in this Purushartha, we surrender our ego, our Ahankar. This surrender totally crushes the duality and we merge with the Supreme. Santa Kanopatra, Mirabai have shown us this Purushartha in practice. So moving on to the next slok.
Sanjaya Uvacha Eva Muktva Tato Rajan Mahayogeshwaro Harihi Darshayamasa Parthaya Paramam Rupamaishwaram.
Sanjay said, O King, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of Yoga, Sri Krishna, displayed his divine and opulent form to Arjuna. Now, there are three types of discourses that can happen. One is the divine discourse, where God himself chooses his bhakta for discourse. Just like the conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna is a form of divine discourse. The conversation between Shankara and Parvati on yoga philosophy is such kind of a divine discourse. Psychic, the second form is psychic, where the knowledge is gained through yoga or tapa and also through special powers, just like Sanjaya here. The hymns of the Vedas are the revelations that occur to the rishis in the state of deep meditation. So that is psychic discourse. Written and oral discourse, like Dhritarashtra, we all are blinded in our Maya, in our Shadripus, and hence we cannot understand the divine or cannot understand the psychic discourses. For mortals like us, the discourses is in form of written or oral communication.
Here, just one point I wish to add, that as we are compared with Dhritarashtra, like we are right now, our stage is at ignorant level. But if we keep our continuous practice with total faith and devotion, we can progress from reading scriptures or listening to satsangs to the psychic method or the psychic manifestation. So if your abhyasa is going on continuously, you might get into your meditation practice, or whenever your mind is calm, relaxed, positive, you get those, or you will start getting those psychic manifestations. And even you can go one step further, and if you are lucky enough, you might get glimpses of divine or divinity, that you will get the darshana of Ishvara.
Yeah, we should all.
So we should always keep progressing from these three levels, from reading scriptures, listening to the scriptures, to hoping for getting certain psychic manifestations, to getting flashes of divinity.
Great. So Sanjay, the meaning of Sanjay is Samyak Jaya iti Sanjaya, which means conqueror of Antakaran Chatushtaya, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta Vritti and Ahankar. Now, I have always kind of wondered why there is reference to Sanjay, or what's when this whole Bhagavad Gita is about the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. We have seen the words like Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Arjuna Uvacha, quite common in Bhagavad Gita. However, we should also take into account the other two characters in Bhagavad Gita, which are passive characters, Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. Bhagavad Gita starts with a conversation between Dhritarashtra and Sanjay, due to the blessings of his guru Vedavyasa, has divine eyes or Divya Drushti to see what is happening in the battlefield at Kurukshetra while sitting in Hastinapur. It is just like a cricket commentator where we can hear his voice but cannot see him. Sanjay's references in Bhagavad Gita are in form of a commentary to Dhritarashtra. There are following three references of Sanjay Uvacha. In chapter 1 and 2, where he sets the scene for Bhagavad Gita and starts the live commentary or narration of what is happening in the battlefield to King Dhritarashtra. This is again, it comes in chapter 11.9 or this shloka. Now this shloka 11.9 and the other four shlokas that follow, Sanjay narrates Arjuna narrates to Dhritarashtra what Arjun saw when Krishna showed him his Vishwarupa Darshan or complete manifestations. He narrates to Dhritarashtra and in turn to the readers like us. Knowing the divinity of Sri Krishna, Sanjay refers him to Mahayogeshwar and Hari. Now, meaning of Hari here is the one who slays all the evils in you. In the next four shlokas, along with this shloka, Sanjay describes Sri Krishna in unlimited faces and eyes, never seen weapons, sweet fragrances, celestial ornaments, brighter, splendor, unmatched even by 1,000 suns, totality of the universe established in one place. And the last reference of Sanjay Uvacha comes in the last chapter, which is chapter 18, where the last 5 verses of Bhagavad Gita concludes with what Sanjay says to Dhritarashtra. And in the last slok, which is the verse 78 in chapter 18, Sanjay says, Yatra Yogeshwaraha Varaha Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutihi, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Sri Krishna, the Lord of all the yoga, and wherever there is Arjun, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be unending opulence, victory, prosperity, and righteousness. Of this I am certain. Now again, the interesting part is that he doesn't want to tell Dhritarashtra in direct words that Kauravas are going to be defeated here. So what he says is, like a true spokesperson, or like the politicians do, having to be politically correct, he says he's trying to keep the neutrality. And he says, I think, and according to my limited knowledge, where Arjuna and Sri Krishna reside, not just victory, but opulence, prosperity, and righteousness will always reside. So this is the wanted to give a background about Sanjay Uvacha, because we know that there are 2 more characters in Bhagavad Gita which are passive characters. So moving on to the next slide.
Arjuna Uvacha Kiritinam Gadinam Chakrinam Cha Tejo Rashim Sarvato Deeptimantam Pashyami Tvadur Niriksham Samantat Diptanalarkadyutimam Prameyam.
I see your form adorned with crown and armed with a club and disc, shining everywhere as a board of splendor. It is hard to look upon you in the blazing fire of your effulgence, which is radiating like a sun in all the directions. Now this is the most Saguna Sakar form of Sri Krishna, or Sri Vishnu, Shankha, Kamala, Gada, and Sudarshan Chakra. Now, what are the underlying meanings of these 4 things that Sri Vishnu carries? Shankha. He creates a Shankhanad and warns us about our true purpose of Manushya Yoni, to understand the Swaswarupa. And if we are on the path, as Ketki said, if we start leading the path, we will be blessed with his Kamala, or his lotus, which is a symbol of peace, purity, and bliss. Gada. However, if we still continue with our attachments to Maya in spite of hearing to Shankhanath, he will ensure that we get some unpleasant experiences in life, which will actually motivate us to come back to the path of spirituality. So the unpleasant experiences are almost like examination paper given by Sri Vishnu here. And Sudarshan Chakra, and if in spite of the Gada Prahar, if we still continue in the path of Maya, we are deemed as Asura, and Bhagwan has no option but to use the Sudarshan Chakra and complete our destruction here. This is the beginning of Vishwarupa Darshan, and Sri Krishna projects his well-known manifestation in the beginning before starting to churn out the unknown. So that the start of Vishwarupa Darshan. The next slide.
Adrushta purvam hrushitosmi drushtva bhayena chah pravyathitam mano me tadeva me darshaya deva rupam prasida devesha jagannivasa.
Having seen your universal form that I had never seen before, I feel great joy, and yet my mind trembles with fear. Please have mercy on me and again show me your pleasing form, O gods of God, O abode of the universe. Now, leading to this verse, we have got about 20 verses in Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna has seen all the manifestations of Sri Krishna in forms which he understands, in forms which he cannot comprehend, and also in the forms which are very frightening to see. The Vishwarup Darshan is like a feature film where Sri Krishna projects his famous saying Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma and Aham Brahmasmi in one go. Sri Krishna almost emphasizes the fact, show me a place, a time, a personality where my manifestations cannot be seen or experienced. He displays his Saguna Sakar and Nirguna Nirakar or incomprehensive Roop. Truly, as described in Nirvana Shatakam, Sri Krishna says, Aham Nirvikalpo Nirakara Rupo Vibhutva cha Sarvatra Sarvendriyana Nacha Sangatam Naiva Muktir Nameya Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Now Arjuna has been amazed and he thanks Sri Krishna for showing him the Vishwarupa Darshan. However, he pleads Sri Krishna to come back to his most pleasing form or the form with which Arjuna can connect with him. So he says Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam, or a pleasing form. This is so true of our own Bhakti Bhava. If we are a devotee of Mahadev or Shiva, where we have a particular form of Shiva in our mind. However, if someone shows us Mahakal Roop instead of Mahadeva Roop, we find it very difficult to accept Mahakal Roop and long or wish to see Lord Shiva in the original Mahadev Roop with which we can connect and where we have surrendered our bhava. Remember, in our last session, we discussed lack of fickleness as one of the features of saintly people. Now, Arjuna displays this quality and asks Sri Krishna to come back to the form which he sincerely respects and prays towards. Hence, all the saints in Bhakti Marga have asked us to be firm on one God or one Namasmaran to ensure we progress on the path of Bhakti Marga. There are a few examples. Santa Naneshwar says, Eka Tattva Nama Drudhadhari Mana. And what is that Nama? Te Nama Sopere Ramakrishna Govinda. Or Santa Tukaram says, Vithala Giti Gava, Vithala Chitti Dhyava, Vithala Ubha Pahava Vitevari. Or Santa Mirabai says, Payoji Maine Rama Ratana Dhana Payo. Or Santa Namadev says, Tirtha Vithala, Kshetra Vithala, Deva Vithala, Deva Puja Vithala.
The last shloka. Mayyeva mana adhasva, Mayi buddhim niveshaya, Nivasishyasi mayyeva, Ata urdhvam na samshayaha.
Fix your mind on me alone and surrender your intellect to me. Thereupon you will always live in me. Of this there is no doubt. Surrender your mind and intellect to me. That's it. That's what Krishna is expecting. It's so simple. But what is mana, which is mind, or what is buddhi, which is intellect? As I said, and we have also referred it in the previous discussion, mana and buddhi are part of Antakaran Chatushtaya. Now, mana is the constant state of duality, this or that, this or that. Buddhi is when we use our power of discrimination and arrive at a firm this or a firm that. It is called as buddhi. Chitta vritti, like a hard disk or a pen drive, all of our experiences in our current life and in our previous lives are stored in our conscience, which is chitta vritti. And when these stored memories and experiences come out in form of remembrance, it is called as chitta vritti. Now, ahankar, mana, buddhi, chitta vritti are all ever changing in our lives because they are situation dependent. However, there is one power which remains constant in a constant state throughout our lives, which is called as ahankar, or what we call as ego. Now, Lord Sri Krishna says, surrender your mind and intellect. We just understood the definitions of mind, intellect, conscience, ego. Now, with this baggage, it practically seems impossible to surround mind and intellect. For example, when we have started this call, or even during the discussion, I'm sure our mind has wandered into person, time, or a place. For UK participants, it's natural to think about lunchtime, what curry to make, what vegetables to make. For India participants, it is getting close to tea time. So we are processing the information about should we have biscuits with tea or not. With this constant influx of thoughts, we are at a very superficial level, so much so that we never tune our brain to go into the deeper conscience or inner consciousness. Imagine we are in a train and there is a bench with two people sitting. A third person comes in and sits, which makes it three. Then another person comes in and then he says, oh, please kindly adjust. So now we are four people crammed in the on the bench. Now the fifth person comes in and he doesn't have a place to sit unless either of those four, one person gets up and the fifth person will be having the space to sit. Now, similarly, when our mind is a constant crowd of thoughts, be it good, bad, whatever thoughts, but if it is a constant crowd of thoughts, imagine where is the space for him to enter. And this is where the Bhakti Marga says the biggest reason of sorrow in our lives is our attachment or our desires. But instead of suppressing those desires, what Bhakti Marga says is, why can't you change the inspiration behind these desires? Now, what does this mean? For example, instead of having a desire for materialistic things, change the inspiration behind the desires to have a desire something like recite Dhyana Shloka every day. Have an inspiration behind for reading 10 pages of Gita every day or 15 minutes of meditation every day. So what will happen is, at least for those 15 minutes, your desires and the inspiration behind the desires from the materialistic world are detached, and you can then start in the progress of Bhakti Marga. Now, how to ensure our buddhi is also surrendered to him? Now, Bhagwan Sri Krishna doesn't mean here Andha Shraddha or blind faith. Use your power of discrimination to arrive at a conclusion which takes you close to Sri Krishna. For example, we may find difficult to concentrate his nama, or and so how should we get our used to our buddhi? By developing new ways or innovative ways to do nama. For example, if you take a morning walk, then at the speed of your walk, why not try doing the namasmaran? If you are in the kitchen cutting vegetables or preparing a meal, use that time to do namasmaran. Through this practice, we will ensure our mind and intellect both are surrendered to him. It is extremely difficult, but as I said, it is not impossible. We can do it. And Bhakti Marga says all this you have to do in this present life, whereas again in the Ashtanga Yoga we did the whole 8 steps process, which seems difficult and generally it may not be possible in this lifetime. So this is the last shloka, and I heard a nice story which I would like to tell you, and we will conclude this session and we will start our practice. So there was a fisherman who used to go to the river for fishing. The river was not so deep, so he could actually walk into the river, into the middle of the river. And when he was at the center, he would throw his net as far as possible. The net had the worms that would attract the fishes, and he used to get plenty of fishes every day. However, there was one fish who observed his routine, and he observed that the net covers the large part of the area of the river, but does not cover the area where the fisherman is standing. So every day when the fish would see the fisherman walking, what the fish would do? he would come and swim only around his feet and thus never got caught in the net. Now, what does this story tell us? Fisherman is the god who has created this Maya or the fish net, and worms are all the materialistic pleasures. We are the fishes who get tangled in this Maya because we cannot stop getting attracted towards it. This fish is a Jnani Bhakta who has understood that if I have to live, I have to be around the feet of the God. So what's the difference between us and the Jnani Bhakta? He has used his mind and intellect to surrender himself to the feet of the Lord and thereby ensuring his safety always. So he never got caught in the fishnet. I thought this was a very good symbolic story, and that concludes our current discussion on the 6 shlokas. We can do the
so like
recitation.
just we have to decide between what type of bhakta we want to be. Is it like Artha, Jidnyasu, or we want to become a Jnani Bhakta, which is going straight at the feet of that fisherman. So same way we can just surrender ourselves at the feet of the Lord, so that it helps to surrender our ego, mind, intellect, and we just get merged into the divine. All right, so I hope you have all enjoyed the discussion of all these shlokas. So are you all ready for the group practice? And do you want to start with Dhyana Shloka? So you can unmute your call. So we can have lead and follow practice. Feel free to repeat after me. Vasudevasutam Devam
Vasudevasutam Devam
Kamsachanuramardanam
Kamsachanuramardanam
Devaki Paramanandam
Paramanandam
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum
Mukam Karoti Vachalam
Mukam
Karoti Vachalam
Pangum Langhayate Girim
Pangum Langhayate Girim
Yat Krupatamaham Vande
Yatpatamaham Vande
Paramanandamadhavam
Paramanandamamadhavam
Atha Shrimad Bhagavad Gitasu
Gitasu
Bhakti Yoga Shloka Sangraha
Bhakti Yoga Shloka Sangraha
Arjuna Uvacha
Uvacha
Evam Etadyatha Tattvam
Evam Etadyatha Tattvam
Atmanam Parameshwara
Atmanam Parameshwara
Drashtumichhami te Rupam Aishwaram Purushottama श्रीभगवानुवाच न तु मां शक्यसे द्रष्टुम्
न तु मां
अनेनैव स्वचक्षुषा
स्वचक्षुषा
दिव्यं ददामि ते चक्षुः
दिव्यं
ददामि ते चक्षुः
पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् संजय उवाच
संजय उवाच
एवमुक्त्वा ततो राजन् महायोगेश्वरो हरिः दर्शयामास पार्थाय परमं रूपमैश्वरम् अर्जुन उवाच
अर्जुन उवाच
किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजो राशिं सर्वतो दीप्तिमन्तम् पश्यामि त्वादुर्निरीक्षं समन्तात्
पश्यामि मां दुर्निरीक्षं समन्तात्
दीप्तानलार्कद्युतिमं प्रमेयम् Okay, we'll just repeat that last one. Diptanalaarkadयुतिमं प्रमेयम् अदृष्टपूर्वं हृषितोऽस्मि दृष्ट्वा भयेन च प्रव्यथितं मनो मे तदेव मे दर्शय देवरूपम् प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास मय्येव मन आधस्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः
Should we repeat the Arjuna Vacha because the tone is different from the other one. So should we
Okay.
repeat those
Okay.
two shloks?
I think these two, no?
Yes.
Okay. And then you also all let me know whichever shloka you want to have the repetition or you want to try on your own. Please feel free to practice. So we'll just repeat these two shlokas,
Yeah.
shloka 10 and 11. Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Kiritinam Gadinam Chakrinam Cha
Kiritinam
Tejo Rashim Sarvato Deeptimantam
Tejo Sarvato
Pashyami Twadurniriksham Samantat
Pashyami Pandurniriksham Samantat
Diptanalarkadyutimam Prameyam Adruštapurvam hrushitosmi društva Bhayena cha pravyathitam mano me Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam Prasida devesha jagannivasa Very good. Yeah. So do you want any particular shloka to repeat?
Can we all repeat all of them again, please?
Okay, no problem. So we'll start with shloka 8.
No, shloka 7.
Oh, sorry.
7.
Shloka 7. Arjuna uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
eva me tad yatha tattvam atmanam parameshwara drashtumichhami te rupam Aishwaram Purushottam
Aishwaram
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Natu mam shakyase drashtum Anenaiva swachakshusha Divyam dadami te chakshuhu Pashame yogamaishwaram Sanjaya uvacha Eva muktva tato rajan Mahayogeshwaro harihi दर्शयामास पार्थाय परमं रूपमैश्वरम् अर्जुन उवाच किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजो राशिं सर्वतो दीप्तिमन्तम् पश्यामि त्वादुर्निरीक्षं समन्तात् दीप्तानलार्कद्युतिमं प्रमेयम् अदृष्टपूर्वं हृषितोऽस्मि दृष्ट्वा भयेन च प्रव्यथितं मनो मे प्रव्यथितं. Okay, so भयेन च प्रव्यथितं मनो मे तदेव मे दर्शय देवरूपम् मय्येव मन आधस्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः. Thank you so much. Any one of you want to chant or just try it? Please go ahead. With any of the shlokas. Select your shloka. Yeah, do you want to try?
Ketki,
Huh?
Boli here.
Yeah.
Can you please repeat the shloka 7, the first one? Evameta. I didn't get that actually.
Okay. So you can also see the English transliteration below the Sanskrit one.
Yeah.
That will be easier for you to follow.
Okay.
So it goes like this. Evam etad yatha tattvam.
Evam etad yatha tattvam.
We'll repeat that again.
Yeah.
Evam etad yatha tattvam.
एवम् एतद् यथा तत्त्वम्
Very good. Atmanam Parameshwar.
आत्मानं परमेश्वर
Repeat that line again. Evam etad yatha tattvam.
एवम् एतद् यथा तत्त्वम्
Atmanam Parameshwar.
आत्मानं परमेश्वर
Drashtumichhami te rupam.
द्रष्टुमिच्छामि ते रूपम्
Aishwaram Purushottama.
ऐश्वरं पुरुषोत्तम.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyone wants to try any shloka?
आत्मानं परमेश्वर द्रष्टुमिच्छामि ते ऐश्वर्यं पुरुषोत्तमम्.
Yeah, that's very good. Any other one? Even if it goes wrong, that's fine.
You're all here to learn.
The shlokas?
Yes.
Devki,
Yeah.
I would like to go for the shloka 8.
Which one?
Shloka 8.
Shloka 8.
Okay. Huh.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Natu Mam Shakyase Drushtam.
Drashtum.
Okay. Natu Mam Shakyase Drashtum. Anenaiva Svachakshusha Divyam Dadami Te Chakshuhu Pashyame Yogamaishwaram.
Very good.
Very nice.
Very good. You want to continue?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sanjaya Uvacha Eva Muktva Tato Rajaman. How is it?
Rajan. Here we are breaking that
Breaking.
word.
Okay.
Yeah. Eva muktva to rajan.
Eva Mukta Tato Rajan.
Okay. Eva muktva.
Evam Uktva.
No. Eva. Okay. I will repeat it. Eva muktva. So here we are not breaking. Even you can see here in transliteration, maybe to just go with the tune.
Yeah. Okay.
Eva muktva tato rajan.
Eva Mukta Tato.
Okay, it's not mukta. It's ka, ta, and va joined together. 3 letters. So eva muktva.
Okay. Eva Muktva.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Eva Muktva Tato Rajan. Mahayogeshwaro Harihi Darshayam Asa.
Okay, wait.
Darshayam Asa.
Can you please mute your call? Because right now Aboli is doing her practice. So please, all others, mute your call. Darshayamasa parthaya.
Darshayamas parthaya paramam rupamaishwaram.
Very good.
Arjuna uvacha.
Yeah.
Kiri. It's
Here
a
we are
There's
just
the tune
changing.
changes.
Yeah, for these two shlokas, there is a little change in the tune.
yeah.
Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha.
Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha.
So now here the re is dirgha, so give that you know mahaprana for that. Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha.
Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha. No?
Yeah.
Is it not right?
Kiri. So re,
Kiri.
you count 1, 2. For ki only one count. Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha.
Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha.
Excellent. Tejo rashim sarvato deeptimantam.
Tejo rashim sarvato deeptimantam.
Excellent. Pashyami twadurniriksham samantat.
Pashyami tvam durniriksham samantat.
Deeptanalarkadyutimam prameyam.
Deeptanalarkya sorry.
Okay. Deeptanalarkadyutimam prameyam.
Deeptanalarkya dyutim. I'm not getting that.
Yeah, dyutimam
Dyutimam prameyam.
prameyam.
Okay. Dyutimam prameyam.
Deeptanalarka dyutimam prameyam.
Okay. Deeptanalarkya dyutimam
Now here the
prameyam.
ka and ya are not joined. So Deeptanalarka, not arkya,
Okay.
dyutimam prameyam.
Okay. Deeptanalarka dyutimam prameyam.
Very good. Adruštapurvam hrushitosmi društva.
Adruštapurvam rishitosmi društva.
Bhayena cha pravyathitam mano me.
Bhayena cha pravyathitam mano me.
Tadeva me darshaya devarupam.
Tadeva me darshaya devarupam.
Prasida devesha jagannivasa.
Prasida devesha jagannivasa.
Very good. Now you want to go ahead with this?
Mayyeva man. How is it?
Okay, now we'll come back to the general tune. Mayyeva mana adhasva.
Mayyeva man adhastva. Sorry.
Adhasva.
The third is
Adhasva.
Adhasva.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayyeva mana adhasva.
Mayyeva man adhasva.
Mayi buddhim niveshaya.
Mayi buddhim niveshaya.
Nivasishyasi mayyeva.
Nivasishyasi mayyeva.
Ata urdhvam na samshayaha.
Ata urdhvam na samshayaha.
Very good, Aboli, and thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Aboli.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
also just how did you like the discussion as well? Please feel free to comment on our WhatsApp group. Of course, your feedback will help us
Yeah.
as well. And of course, it will help us all to learn. So just give us how you have changed, like we discussed today in terms of how to channelize your mana, how to channelize buddhi. So hopefully you can have a sankalpa in your mind of having 5 minutes of Bhagavad Gita practice, 10 minutes of Dhyana Shloka, 10 minutes of meditation. So please share your experiences on our WhatsApp group so that we all can learn and we all can progress and actually feed off each other's energy so that we can all progress. So that's the
And
please.
even in the session, feel free to share your ideas, your experiences, be
Correct.
more interactive.
because Bhakti Yoga is, as I said, is experiential. The way I have experienced through my knowledge or through my past experiences may not be the same for yours. You may have any divine experiences as well. Please feel free to share so that, again, as I said, the positive energy will take us all together forward.
I would like to I would like to share my experience with you all today. Just uh, feel to share with you all today. Uh, you know, you can get these experiences anytime. Maybe in your, as we say, there are 3 stages of our wakefulness or our self, basically. That is, the first one is Jagruta Avastha, the waking state. Then the Swapna Avastha, which is equally important, the dream state, and the Sushupti Avastha, where we are in the deep sleep state. So one fine early morning, I just saw this or heard this in my dream that Bhagavad Gita is in the psychic conversation, or the conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna is in a psychic form. And just that one line I saw or I heard in my dream, and that's it, nothing else. And when I woke up, I just shared that dream with Amog, and that motivated me to look into it further. And that's how we came to know that there are like 3 methods of learning. Now, when we start walking on the spiritual path, of course it starts with reading or writing or listening, but that is the starting point. And that's how we realize that we can really progress our practice to the next level, where when why we always emphasize on having that calm and positive mind, or that relaxed state of mind. Then only that mind is ideal, or the foundation, to have something at higher level, or to experience something at higher level. So even when we sit in the meditation, the important thing is to take away all the thoughts. Once we finish the Bhakti Yoga, we will be starting with Raja Yoga, and it emphasizes on what Amog has discussed about Ashtanga Yoga, that how to meditate or how to do dharana, how to do pratyahar, how to sit in, because in order to do meditation, you first need to make your body steady. If your body is moving, how can we, make our mind one pointed? So it always starts with your body, then it comes to your mind, then it goes to your intellect, and then slowly we start, progressing in our practice. So having those psychic manifestations is really a next step further. And anyone can experience that, because we all have got that potential. And that divinity always tells us that whatever exists there at the divine level, we are also the the small versions of it. So we have that equal potential. So if you want to know your potential, you have to start at some point and don't stuck there, don't stop there. Just keep moving and keep practicing it regularly, having that faith that one day in this birth itself, you will get glimpses of divine. Okay, so keep practicing and chanting. Why again we have started this sessions because myself have got immense benefits out of chanting, because chanting helps to gain control over your body, over your breath, over your mind, over your intellect, on all aspects of our existence. So just try to include that 5 to 10 minutes of chanting. Maybe it can be anything, not necessarily the Bhagavad Gita or Dhyana Shloka, whatever prayers, whatever shlokas you like, you enjoy, but have that routine in your daily, schedule, and you'll find difference in your progress. So with this, if anything, if you have got any questions, feel free to ask, or otherwise we will end today's session here. So thank you so much for joining in.
I just wanted to say, Katie and Amog, that I thought the session today was brilliant, and I was smiling most of the way through with your exposition, Amog, and especially at watching Katie's face there. She was smiling and nodding as you were speaking, because I was doing the same, because it was such a wonderful way of describing the verses of the Gita. And I particularly enjoyed your sharing the story of the Jnana fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it makes so much sense. As they say, you can paint everywhere else except the spot on which you're standing. So it's a brilliant
Yes.
Analogy to share. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Most welcome, Wendy. Okay, so shall we end the call here? Any further questions? Anything to share?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you both again.
Yeah. See you next month.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.